Okay, so before we get started, I would like to just have everyone in the room here introduce themselves. So we'll start with Nakagawa Sensei.
Hi. Hello everyone. My name is Gare Nakagawa, and I'm a grandmaster of koto and shamisen. I'm so excited to talk about Japanese instrument with you. Enjoy.
Thank you. Okay, and my name is Bobby Griffin. I've been studying with Nakagawa Sensei for about 11 years now. I've been studying koto and a little bit of shamisen, but I've recently received my associate master's license in koto, so maybe one day I'll become a grandmaster as well as Nakagawa.
You will.
Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Sonia and I'm from France. I've been studying with Gare Sensei for almost 5 years. 5 years birthday is in a few days. My main instrument is the koto, and this is actually my very first instrument ever. I don't play any other Western instrument. I started playing shamisen as well, but I still have a lot of effort to get to where Bobby is. Nice to meet you, and please enjoy the moment. I'd like to call in our video magic person, Julian.
Hello, my name is Julian. I'm from the UK. I've been playing shamisen for about 3 years under the guidance of Nakagawa Sensei, and I'll be hiding behind the camera for the rest of the show. So enjoy.
Thank you. All right, very good. And one more thing before we get started, we're going to kind of run through a few of the popular instruments, Japanese traditional instruments, relatively quickly because we want to have a lot of time for Q&A at the end. But if we mention something and you have a question that pops into your head, feel free to use the chat and ask the questions in real time. We will take note of them or answer them as they come, depending on what the question is. So feel free to use the chat for that. Japanese.
皆さん、もし質問があればぜひチャットで入荷してくださいので、ジュリアンさんがボビーとガレ先生と私にも伝えておきますので、あとは最後、今日のイベントの方でボビーさんの方からいろいろの紹介がありますので、とりあえず、日本の和楽器と日本の歴史の方も説明していますので、あとはイベントの最後のところで Q&A 質問のところもありますので、ぜひ参加してください。
Okay, so let's get started.
Let's go.
So what Japanese instruments do you know of off the top of your head?
Just one?
All of them. Or the three main ones.
Okay. Koto, shamisen, and shakuhachi.
Exactly. Very good. Have you played shakuhachi before?
Yes.
How was it?
I didn't make any kind of sound with it.
I'm sure it's difficult to get a sound on it. But the first instrument we're going to talk about today is the shakuhachi. And for those of you who don't recognize the name, you've probably seen one before. The shakuhachi is a bamboo end-blown flute, traditional Japanese flute. This differs from the Western orchestral flute that you see because we play that flute like this, and the bamboo flute is played up and down and you blow into the end of it. The word shakuhachi actually refers to the length of the instrument. So a shaku is about a foot long, and then hachi means 8, but it really means an eighth of a shaku. So the name shakuhachi actually means 1.8 shaku, which is about 54 centimeters. Yeah. Now, the shakuhachi first came to Japan in about the 7th century, and this shakuhachi, although we don't have a photo of it, is known as the Kodai shakuhachi, the ancient shakuhachi, and it was played mainly in gagaku music. And this particular instrument died out in about the 10th century. No records of the sound or the music or the scales. All we know basically is that it had 6 holes. In the 15th century, a new shakuhachi came to town, the Hitoyogiri shakuhachi, And it became popular and then fell out of use by the 17th century when the Fuke shakuhachi came along. And by the 19th century, it was only Fuke shakuhachi. It had a better tone, better volume, better scale. Everything was superior to the previous shakuhachi.
I see. Now I have a question for you because there is a word I didn't quite catch. Fuke. Can you tell us more about the fun facts behind that word?
So Fuke shakuhachi is named after the Fuke sect of Zen Buddhism. And the monks adopted the shakuhachi and played it. And the first players of the shakuhachi were the Komuso monks. And as you can see here in the photo, they're very recognizable by the baskets on their heads. And these baskets sort of symbolized their separation from the world, no distractions. Yeah. Now these monks came up with honkyoku, which were tunes for the shakuhachi that were really based on their meditative breathing. So we may not recognize it as music today, but this is what they played on the instruments. Now they developed during the shogunate period, and they had special permission to play the shakuhachi, but under one condition.
Which one?
The shogunate sent in spies to go along with them. So the monks actually developed these honkyoku to be extremely, extremely difficult to play so that they could always pick out the spies.
Nice trick. So let's jump a little bit in time and let's take a look into what happens during the Meiji Restoration period. Can you tell us about what happened to the Fuke sect after that?
So during the Meiji Restoration, it was all banned. They couldn't play the pieces, they couldn't play the shakuhachi or the instrument or anything. So all of the music and the techniques were passed down by rote, from person to person. Nothing was written down. And then by the end of the 19th century, they were allowed to play it again, and the shakuhachi made a resurgence into accompaniment music. And then eventually the honkyoku were allowed to be played again, and it's been gaining popularity ever since.
See. So thank you for the history. I'm not very comfortable with the shakuhachi, even though I've heard about it. But now I have a big question. How do we actually make a sound with the shakuhachi?
So we blow into. Did you ever play recorder?
Nope.
In elementary school? No. Well, in America, I think in Japan too, a lot of elementary school kids will learn recorder. And as you can see here, the recorder has a mouthpiece, and this is called the fipple. And this mouthpiece channels your air to hit this sharp edge. When it hits the sharp edge, it's split and it produces the tone. Shakuhachi doesn't have that. Yeah. That's why it was very difficult to make a sound on it. Yeah. So shakuhachi is more like playing a bottle. Yeah. At first, and now you can see there's like a little the white inlay on the inside. We think this came along due to just making repairs on it, and then it turned out to be better because it was harder than the wood and it lasts longer. So shakuhachi players don't have the fipple, but they have a lot of leeway on where they aim the air, how fast they aim the air, and they have a really wide range of possibilities as far as producing the sound. Yeah.
I see.
Now, as far as what it looks like, the shakuhachi has 5 holes, 4 in the front, 1 in the back. It's traditionally made of bamboo, but now you can buy a cheaper wooden shakuhachi, or even cheaper yet, plastic shakuhachi. I think we have some pictures of those as well. To play any notes outside of the scale, they can use half holes. They can change the angle of the instrument, change their breathing, and they can do a lot of things. Yes, you can see all of the different sizes as well. And today, actually, they do make fipples to put on the end. So next time you try, you should get the fipple extension. All right, the range is about 2.5 octaves, And what I think is very interesting about the shakuhachi is like on flute, we use our tongue to separate the notes. But on shakuhachi, they kind of flip their finger to make a nice Japanesey ornament between the notes. Now, as far as the scale, if you just lift your fingers on the shakuhachi, it plays a D minor pentatonic scale, as you can see here, D, F, G, A, C, D. All right, so I think it's time to have a listen.
Let's do that.
See what it sounds like.
And I think Julian has a little something for us.
All right, so let's take a look at this video. We're just going to see a few of the different techniques you can do on the shakuhachi and just hear what it sounds like.
はい、では日本の縦笛尺八についてご説明します。まずこのように竹をスパッと切った、それから穴を開けただけの素朴な楽器です。そしてこのように長さがいろいろございます。長いほど全体が音が低くなります。こちらが泥管といって最もポピュラーな、基本の尺八です。穴が表に4つ、裏に1つ、5つしかありません。ではこの5つの音をちょっと聞かせていただきましょう。はい、でも音楽にはいろんな音を使いたいですね。半音進行もございます。ちょっとお願いします。間の音はどうやって出しているんでしょうか。ちょっと横を向いて説明していただきましょう。顎の角度を変えます。下げると音が下がります。顎を逆に上げると、はい、音を半音ね、変えることができます。または指を穴を半分開けたり、そういうテクニックを使って音を作っています。それから尺八にしか出ない特別な音があります。ちょっとビブラートのようなこともできますね。首よりも縦に振っています。じゃあ横に振っていただきましょう。回してください。それから音を滑らかに移すポルタメントのような奏法があります。はい、それから鳥の鳴き声などをこういうふうに表します。それから、侍が戦いをするような時の効果音にこのような音も使います。このように西洋音楽では使わないノイジーな音を使うとても面白い表現のできる楽器です。
Into the Sanshin, and once it came to the main island in about the 15th century, the biwa players got a hold of it, and they kind of took this very small plectrum from the Sanshin. And if you take a look at the biwa plectrum, it's very big. It looks like a ginkgo leaf. In the bottom corner there, you see it looks like a big ginkgo leaf. So they kind of compromised between the very small Sanshin plectrum and the biwa plectrum, and we get the shamisen plectrum. Sorry, guys. All right, so in the 16th century, it traveled around to the other islands, and by the 17th century, we get the modern shamisen that we play today. Yeah, as you can see here, we've got a lot of different shapes and sizes. It started in jiuta and sankyoku, which is a traditional Japanese ensemble, and they also played it in kabuki, bunraku, and narauta.
So during the Edo period, the shamisen started to be played mostly by the upper class. And
Right.
very slowly, it started to be played by more and more people. It started with people, entertainers, from kabuki, entertainers in the palace, and little by little, all of the commoners also started to play it, but really little by little. So you have to imagine many, many years before it becomes more of the folk instrument.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and of course, many styles were developed once it was more accessible to everyone.
And the bachi also changed quite a lot.
The bachi changed as well for all of the styles. So today, what do you think is the most popular style worldwide of shamisen?
Top of my head, I would say Tsugaro, because it was
Definitely.
kind of a big thing. It started to develop from the early 1900s, and in the 1920s, it became so popular that from the 50s to the 60s, we could see a lot of Japanese popular music using the shamisen. And it was really part of the general entertainment in very famous venues as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I think we should take a listen.
Yeah. Julian, do we have a video for the shamisen?
I believe we do.
Or
Today, yeah, Nakagawa Sensei is actually going to play live for us.
that's even better.
Yes. So let's get Nakagawa Sensei in, and I will just show you a few parts of the shamisen here on the screen. So some up close photos. So we have here the first picture that you'll see is, well, here we've got all the bachi, the shamisen, and then we have, this is the drum part of the shamisen. The outer part is made of wood, and the white part is the skin on top that is traditionally made of dog or cat hide. But nowadays you can get, synthetic skin as well. The little piece, or here at the bottom, we have the nail, and this is kind of a decorative knot used to hold the strings to the instrument. Yeah. Now the little part that's on the skin is called the koma, and this part is used to kind of transfer the vibration of the strings into the skin, into the drum, and it resonates really nicely inside. As you can see on the bottom of the koma, there are little pieces of metal that can also enhance the sound. On the next slide, they can also enhance the sound. We have gold, silver, different types of metal make different sounds. Next, we can see the bachi. Here we have a bachi made of ivory and tortoise shell. And in the next image, we have a bachi completely made of ivory. These all, of course, produce different tone qualities in the instrument as well. Next, we have the pegs at the top. These are just like any pegs that you will see on your Western violin or cello. They're used for tuning. And the really interesting part of the shamisen is the bridge at the top. As you can see, this bridge doesn't actually extend all the way across the strings. So on guitar, it extends underneath all of the strings, so you get a very even sound on each string that you pluck. But on shamisen, we get a really special sound when we pluck that last string. So Nakagawa Sensei is tuning to Hon Joshi, and this is a basic intonation on the shamisen. We have, in this case, we have D, G, and the last string is an octave above the first string. Now, some different sounds we can make on the shamisen. We can just a normal pluck with the plectrum. And you can hear kind of a little pop, and that's the sound of the plectrum hitting the drum. And I'm not sure how well it picks up on the audio, but if you hear a very little buzz, this is called sawari. And this is the special shamisen sound that we get where that bridge doesn't extend under the first string. It really makes me feel like I'm in Japan. And when you hit when she's hitting the first string, it can also make that last string sympathetically vibrate, and you hear the sawari as well. So some different techniques we can do. We can do the normal pluck. We can do a hajiki, where we pluck with the left hand. We can bend the pitch with a suri. And an otoshi. It's a really cool embellishment. We can also do portamento. Yeah, getting rid of those frets really make it easy to do those slow bending all the way up to the range of the instrument. We can do a sukui, where we pluck backwards. We can do keshibachi. She's plucking with the left hand and stopping the vibration with the plectrum. And then we can make all sorts of like extra musical noises, funny sounds with the nails and different things, maybe with the bachi, yeah. Yeah. So, yes. I've forgotten what this one's called.
Sakahajiki.
Sakahajiki. Very good.
So sakabachi.
Sakabachi as well, going up. Yeah, this is a popular technique in some of the traditional music. Yeah, so these are some of the sounds that the shamisen can make. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. So Sonia, do you want to talk about the koto now?
Let's do that.
How would you describe the koto?
I'll describe the modern koto.
Okay.
The one that I play currently is a what Westerner would call it a zither, and it usually has about 13 strings for the normal one. It is Japan's national instrument, and it's kind of a tall instrument if you kind of stand it up. I'm tiny, and it's about Bobby's side, 180, right? It is also 30 centimeters wide, and you see it behind me. It is usually made of paulownia wood with 2 pieces of solid wood with a hollow body so that it can make the sound resonate.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so you're right. It has 13 strings today, but do you know how many it had when it first arrived in Japan?
5.
5, exactly. It had 5 when it first arrived in Japan from China in the 8th century. This is the Nara period. And of course, it ended up with the 13 we have today by about the 16th century. It started in the imperial court, and it stayed there for a really long time until about the 17th century. And in the 17th century, we get Yatsuhashi Kengyo, and he was a blind shamisen player that decided to learn koto. He decided to tune it to folk music, get it out of the imperial court, really sort of get it ready for anyone to play it. Yeah, he composed many pieces for the koto. He came up with new genres. One genre is called so-kyoku, which is solo koto music, and he came up with the shirabe mono, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But he really strived throughout his life to make koto popular to everyone. A lot of new styles and techniques were developed, and he also developed the danmono, which we'll also talk about later, and it really helped to spread koto around Japan.
So, as Bobby said, koto has many different schools or different ryu-ha. And I'm going to mention two of the main ones. There is the Ikuta Ryu and there is the Yamada Ryu. Ryu meaning school. And the two, you can see it on the screen, or it was a bit the earlier picture. The Yamada Ryu has round tsume, while the Ikuta Ryu has the squared tsume ones, and our style is the Ikuta Ryu. Just a reminder that the tuning was improved along the time and the history of koto to allow ensemble playing with shamisen and kokyu. Sankyoku, the chamber music, was developed at the end of the Edo period. The jiuta is a popular style combining singing and instrumental section, which continues today. Would you like to speak a bit about the Meiji era and how it changed how koto sounds?
Right. So we have this traditional Japanese instrumental ensemble called Sankyoku, and as you see here, we have koto, shamisen, and shakuhachi, the instruments that we have discussed today. The shakuhachi replaced the kokyu that bowed shamisen eventually, and today this is the ensemble that we mostly see. But in the Meiji era, a lot of Western influence came around, and you can really start seeing that in Japanese music. Notably, Michio Miyagi really changed the koto music a lot. He developed a lot of techniques, a lot of tunings. He composed so many pieces, and he even developed extra kotos with more strings. As you can see here today, we have a 17-string koto, which is the base koto, the regular 13-string koto, and in the middle here, I believe this one has 21 strings, but I think you can get up to 25, maybe even more strings today.
Too many strings.
Too many strings to worry about, I agree. All right, so I think Nakagawa-sensei is going to demonstrate a few techniques on the koto for us. But first, I just want to show you some more close-up images of the koto and talk about the different parts. First, something really interesting about the koto is that all of the parts are named after parts of a dragon. So you see here, the top of the koto is called the ryuko, which is the back of the dragon. We have this part here where the strings are coiled is called the ryubi, or the dragon's tail. We have the ryuto, or the kuchimae, which is the dragon's head. Here, these little circular eyes are the dragon's eyes. And above this, the white part, here are the eyes. And the white part above that, the bridge, is called the horns, the dragon horns, the ryukaku. And we also have the dragon's tongue. It's very beautifully decorated, and the design just completely depends on the koto. So in this one, you can't make it out, but the koto player's name is actually written in kanji over on the right corner because it's her koto. So it's very beautiful designs there. We also have on the inside of the koto is also beautiful. Here we see a sudare carving on the inside. This koto just has straight lines on the inside, and it helps kind of with resonance, and it's very beautiful. but you can get more intricate designs like the Ayasugi design, which is like a zigzag here. You could get double zigzags or even triple zigzags, as we can see in the next picture. And this is called Mago Mochi. So they're very beautiful. And, you know, it helps resonate the sound throughout the instrument. We also have the G. This is a very, I think, what people think of when they think of the koto. These are 13 movable G, one for each string. You move them to tune the instrument, and you can also use them to make special sounds and bend pitches. To pluck the instrument, we use tsume, and it's 3 plectrum we wear on our right hand, on the thumb, index, and middle fingers. These are ikuta ryu tsume, so they're square. All right, the basic tuning for the koto is a scale called the Miyakobushi scale. It's the top scale you see here. And when you tune it on the koto, it's called hirajoshi. The scale is D, E flat, G, A, B flat, and D. This is the Japanese pentatonic scale. So I think Nakagawa sensei can actually play the scale for us now. This is very beautiful, very Japanese, I think. Yeah, a lot of the traditional music is written in this scale. Now let's just take a look at some sounds that the koto can make. So first, the regular pluck is just plucking with your thumb with the plectrum. You can also pluck with your left hand. That's called pizzicato. Out the sound a little bit. It sounds more like an Irish folk harp to me when you pizz. We have other sounds. We can do sukui, just like the shamisen where we pluck backwards. A very Japanese sound is kakite. Striking 2 strings at once. With the left hand, we can bend the pitches, so we can play half steps with the left hand. We use a lot of left hand in modern music to get those Western scales when we're playing. We can bend the pitch slowly. We can... and quickly. We can bend the pitch down by pulling on the string. We can do various scrapes with the tsume on the string as well. We can sort of manipulate the vibration with our fingernails as well, like the keshitsume. Sorry. You hear the buzz? That also mimics the shamisen's sawari. We can do tremolo to extend notes. Uraren, very difficult. Very difficult, but beautiful technique. Stepping down the koto like a staircase. What else can we do? We can do glissandos. Very, very beautiful. I love it. So a lot of these sounds actually mimic sounds in nature and particularly insects. So we would like to play a little piece of a piece for you, a small section of a piece called Yai Goromon. So I think Sonia is going to tell us a little bit about it while Sensei and I set up.
Hey everyone. Our next song is called Yae Goromo. It is composed by Ishikawa Koto. The lyrics are from Obara Hyakuni Isshin, The 100 Poets. It's an anthology of collection of the 100 poets and their works. It takes 5 poems from the 100 poet collections and it describes koromo, clothes that is worn during the 4 seasons in Japan. Spring, summer, fall, winter, all have different clothing and colors associating to them. Bobby and Sensei will be playing a song around winter. Let me share with you some of the lyrics. A cricket tries on this frosty night as I spread the sleeve of my kimono and the hammer light. Must I sleep alone? Please listen and see if you can catch the sounds specifically made for the crickets and for the wind.
Okay, thank you. This piece is a classic in traditional Japanese music literature. It's very difficult, but this part is a really representative of those sort of nature sounds that I'd like to write into the traditional music. Okay, so next I just want to show you, for anyone who's interested, a piece of the score for a Japanese piece. So this is similar to the piece we just played. This is a traditional piece called Yachio Jishi. And as you can see here, on the right-hand side, we have the name of the piece, of course. And below that, we have the three instruments that are played in this piece. So we have the koto. It tells you how to tune the instrument. In this case, it's hirajoshi. We have the shamisen. In this case, we're in honjoshi tuning. And then we have the shakuhachi. And it tells you what length of shakuhachi to use. And here we use the standard length shakuhachi. At the bottom, it tells you which strings match pitches. So here you see the koto, and the koto's first string should be the same pitch as the shamisen's second string. Now, when we get into the music, you can see on the right-hand side, we have the koto part. On the left-hand side, we have the shamisen part. And in the middle, we have the lyrics to the song. And on either side of the lyrics, it tells you which pitch you should be singing. So to the right, it shows you the koto's pitch, and to the left, it shows you the shamisen pitch, so that everyone knows what to sing.
The next piece that Bobby and Sensei will be playing is called Menamo. It's a modern aesthetic song which has been composed by Tadao Sawai. It does not exactly fit with the Japanese scale, as it has a lot of half pitches. This song is about the surface of water, so pay attention to the sounds for ripples and flowing water sounds.
Okay, so this is kind of a little modern taste for you. That it doesn't follow the Japanese scale, and we use a lot of left hand to get those half steps within the scale. I really like the imagery of this piece. But now we would like to show you a video of just sort of a collection of some different styles from different periods and with different instruments. The first piece that we'd like to show you is a very famous piece by Michio Miyagi called Haru no Umi, and it means the spring sea. And it's kind of his image of the sea where he used to live before he went blind, and you know what he saw there. So this is a piece for koto and shakuhachi, although today you can find all sorts of instrumentation with violin or flute, cello, any assortment of instruments. So this is Haru no Umi. The next piece we'd like to show you is Rokudan no Shirabe. It was composed by Yatsuhashi Kengyo, who we talked about before. And this is a sokyoku, originally a koto solo, and later they added shamisen and shakuhachi to it. Here you will, I'll be playing the koto part, and this is a dan mono, which is a very special form in Japanese traditional music. And it's kind of like a theme and variation. So you get a theme at the beginning and then several different variations on it. But the special thing is that each variation has exactly 52 beats. So if you listen to the whole thing in its entirety, you can literally count the beats of each section. Now here, I'll be playing Rokudan no Shirabe, and Nakagawa Sensei is playing a piece called Shōraifu, composed by Utashito Nakashima. And this piece was written, can be played as a solo, but it was written specifically to where it could fit with Rokudan no Shirabe. And Shōrai is the sound of wind blowing through the pine trees. So Rokudan no Shirabe is a staple in koto repertoire, and it's one of the first pieces that any koto player will learn to play. The next piece we are going to show you is called Kobai, and that means plum tree. And this is a really beautiful, slow piece for koto and voice. And the lyrics talk about an early spring night meeting with your lover. The next piece is called Natsu no Ichinichi, and this is a 5-movement piece, kind of giving you a summer scenes imagery. This composition is by Yatsutoshi Nagasawa, and not only do you see koto, shamisen, and shakuhachi, but in this piece we can also see the biwa, the 17-string bass koto, various Japanese flutes called fue, and Japanese drums. Natsu no Ichinichi, a very exciting piece. Sensei and I were actually going to play this piece, but Corona ruined it for us, and our concert was canceled a few years ago when Corona hit. So the last piece we want to show you, this clip is a quartet concerto for koto, bass koto, shamisen, and shakuhachi. This is a really exciting composition by Shinichi Yuize, and this clip is from the last movement. It's very fast, very exciting. It requires a lot of skill to play, and this is a kind of fun piece because it has a lot of mixed meter in it. So listen for that kind of strange beat that you can hear. thank you for coming to the discussion. Now, that's the end of the discussion. I actually found it very difficult to narrow everything down that short because there was so much I wanted to say about all of the instruments. But I hope that was kind of a nice, informative intro to the three instruments, especially for anyone who has no experience with any of them, with any Japanese instruments or any instruments at all, for that matter. But we have 30 minutes left scheduled, so we'd like to kind of open the floor to anyone who has any questions. Is there anything you're curious about as far as the instruments are concerned, as far as any of our experiences with the instruments, the history, or anything?
No, so far we don't have any questions.
And you can do raise your hand on reaction if you want, or
We had a comment from Leron Harrison. He said, if you're talking about the wagon, that is thought to be the indigenous instrument as opposed to the kin or the zeng, which came from the continent. I think he was talking about the origin of the koto.
the origin of the koto.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there's quite a lot of different
Yeah, I
names
think
for the
there.
same thing, right? So
I'm sure there are a lot of very specific names for each variation of koto that
sure.
I don't know.
Just know about the dragon.
Esteban, I'm sure he wants to know, I wonder if those rubatos or accelerandos, etc., that you played in the first piece is written in the Japanese score.
So they're not written in the Japanese score, and anytime I'm learning one of these traditional pieces, I rely completely on Nakagawa Sensei to tell me when to kind of stretch the tempo, when to go faster, because nothing is written. How do you know
Japanese tempo.
how fast to play, how slow to play? Like in Yaigoromo, it
It takes a long
changes
time
all the
to
time,
get
right?
the tempo. It takes a very, very long time. So traditional tempo is very, very ambiguous.
Very ambiguous,
Kind
right?
of ambiguous. I think so.
So you learned this from your grand sensei.
Yes.
Of
course,
it's
yes.
not written in the music.
Yes.
It was passed down from sensei
Yes,
to
yes,
sensei, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard from a Westerner playing in the orchestra to go to this where nothing is written down. It's all it's just
It's
feeling.
very, very
and
difficult. Yeah.
always listen to your sensei.
So Leon's got a follow-up comment. He said Gagaku was mentioned.
Mhm.
What are your experiences of Gagaku and any other opportunities to collaborate with Gagaku?
No experience.
It's just a different different type
Yeah,
of Japanese music.
it's completely different
Yes.
style. Right?
So
Is it
there is
still-
Gagaku is
collaboration.
a court music.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool. Is it still performed today?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course, of
Nice.
course.
So you would hear it at the temple, right?
Yes.
So
Mm.
I had some friends who got married a few years ago
Mhm.
at the temple, and they had a lot of chants during the service, and we had to kind of respond to them, and a lot of hichiriki
Yes.
and shou.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So these are instruments that we don't play with in Jiuta music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So unfortunately, not much experience.
Okay, cool. I think Miyada-san wants to know what made you decide to learn the instruments and how did you come to know about them?
Well, I've studied music all my life, so I'm kind of a music nerd, otaku. So when I came to Japan, I knew I had to try some Japanese instrument, and I saw some videos on YouTube, and koto really spoke to me, and I really wanted to do the wah-wahs.
The
So
official
that got me. Yeah, that got me. What about you, Sonia?
For me, it's kind of different. There is an event in France which is called Japan Exposition. And during one of those events, a Japanese group was invited and they played shamisen. But the sound that I really fell in love with was actually the koto. They play different songs, traditional songs. Rokudan no Shirabe is one of them. Then there was some Ghibli songs as well. And I couldn't get the sonority of the koto out of my head. So when I came in Japan, I started searching. Can I actually learn koto? Is there a teacher that can teach me? And 5 years ago, late October, I reached out to Sensei and I told her, hey, can I have a trial lesson? I don't know if I can make it because I played no instrument. I have zero knowledge in any other kind of music, Western, North African, or whatsoever. I can't read a score for the life of me. And I got this first lesson, and it was really playing one string at a time and getting to understand the very basic techniques, and I stayed.
Now, even, it's kind of strange for us to play them, but really what a lot of people don't realize is the traditional instruments aren't that popular in Japan either.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
you
yes,
don't run
yeah,
across people in the
exactly,
street
yeah.
who play koto. So
What?
why did you decide to play
Oh,
wagaki when you were a girl?
それは、my hobby.
Uh-huh.
Just so my childhood is I like playing koto.
Just from the beginning.
Just, yeah, from the beginning.
Did you have a grandmother who played, or your
No,
mother?
no. Yeah, not at all.
Yes.
Yes, 4 years old.
4 years old. So you just told mommy and daddy, I want to play the koto, or they had you try?
Yeah,
Or?
it's just something to learn.
Okay.
Yeah. My mom took me to the koto school. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
4 years
We
old.
just had a comment from Yumi. She says, I'm a Japanese koto player. As one of my friends' mothers is a professional player, I learned koto from her.
Ah.
So probably if you know a professional player, that's also quite,
Yeah.
quite useful.
I'm sure a lot of Japanese people, their grandmother plays, or their mom's friend
Yeah.
plays, or someone plays. Yeah.
It's your daughter, Harune,
Yes,
plays,
my
obviously.
daughter played, yes.
Because of you? Did you make her play?
Encouraged.
Suggested.
Yes. Okay, so TJ Naka wants to know, Sensei, how many foreign people are learning koto or shamisen at your school?
A lot of people, students, 50 people,
Mhm.
students, yeah,
That's a lot. Total students
total students.
is how many?
For Japanese, not for
Everybody is.
everybody,
Yeah.
100 or
Ooh.
more.
So about a half. Like one half is
For foreigners.
foreigners.
Maybe.
Oh, that's really cool. All right. Do you have any more questions, anybody? Any more?
Yeah, particularly shakuhachi. None of us are experts on shakuhachi. So if anyone has shakuhachi questions, I think we have some
Yes,
Zensokyo
staff
experts. They can field shakuhachi questions as well.
Please, shakuhachi questions.
So just waiting for anyone.
How many people in attendance play Japanese instruments, particularly the foreigners? I see a couple of you.
Raise your hands. Use the small reactions on Zoom and let us know. So I see Leren, I see Tamashiro-san.
Esteban, hello.
Hello, Shana.
Yes, Shannon. Hello.
I see Kana Saito-san.
あ、かなちゃんね。
久しぶりね。
うん、かなちゃん。
Oh, I know everybody.
かなちゃん。
Okay. So later on, apparently plays Gagaku Hichiriki. I don't know what these are. Ryuteki, Gakuso Shoko, Shoko, and Taiko. I don't know. I've never heard of any of those.
I heard of the
Flute type of
Haiko.
things. The hichiriki has a double reed
誰か
inside,
戦
so I,
争教でシャカハチピーポーの人でいませんか？やってる人いない？
So, unmute them.
Hmm.
Yeah. Can you turn up your actually the microphone right there?
oh, I'm on mute.
Oh, the microphone, yeah.
いない手を挙げてるみんな手を挙げてる人。あれ違うの
Yeah, I think
They
everyone has a
play
little bit of
Experience.
musical
with
experience,
music.
Japanese instrument experience.
TJ Naka says they're wearing the shakuhachi. Emily says I'm now thinking to promote the koto and shakuhachi. My husband plays shakuhachi.
So anyone in, I really wanted to get a spreadsheet ready for this discussion about how to acquire Japanese instruments, Japanese music, because I have a lot of American friends who, want to try and they have no idea how to get a koto or a shamisen or any music. So are there any people living abroad who have been able to easily acquire instruments or anything?
That's a good question.
Or if you're living abroad, how did you get your instrument?
Bai is the site to go to, Leon says. Bai.
Bai.
I've not heard of that one. Is that available in the US? Is that a US website or? I know that Tokyo Wagaki, the company, they supply shamisen to the Bachido store, right? But for koto, I don't know any easy ways to buy.
There is one that actually sells worldwide, but they're teeny tiny bit pricey, and they don't sell secondhand. They mostly sell new kotos, so it's about they tell you where the kotos would come from. They tell you how it was fabricated, and they actually test the koto before they're sent. But they are the only one that I know from Japan who sells to worldwide.
Yeah, actually, Emily says, I think this is the issue, like how to get them.
Yeah.
It's a big problem, right? It's, unless maybe if you're planning to come to Japan on vacation, buy one while you're
Get
here,
one.
and then take it home. That's probably the easiest way, right? It'd probably be a lot cheaper as well.
Or have your friend source one for you and ship it. I think,
away.
Yeah. It's definitely the safest way to do it.
Yeah.
Because you always want to test your instruments before you play them, no matter what the instrument is.
Of course, yeah. Leon says obviously Rakuten or Yahoo auctions, they're good for getting like secondhand. But like you said, Bobby, if you want to try it before and check that there's no cracks or
You never know how it's going to sound like.
Exactly, right.
One of my friend bought the koto on one of those websites, and unfortunately, they can only see the top of the koto, and they cannot see the inside, and they cannot know how old and how dry the wood is. So when they're not used to it, they think it's okay, but when we hear it being played, it's kind of very strange, very harsh sound.
We call them the uraban, né?
Uraban?
Yeah, the back.
Uraita, ne? Uraita.
Uraita.
Yes.
So that's easy to split maybe if it gets dry or when it gets old.
Yes.
Esteban, is he one of your students? Yeah. He says he plays Sanshin and the Shinobue. I'm currently learning the koto with Bobby Sensei. He said the Sanshin and koto were a gift from an Okinawan family. Wow, that's very lucky. Yeah. I've been to Okinawa twice and nobody gave me a free maybe next time. Emily says, how about eBay? Maybe. People don't really use eBay in Japan though, right? It's not big.
Yeah.
But maybe abroad.
I have talked to Americans who've gotten instruments from eBay, so it's worth a check. But they're used. You want to test them a little bit before you play them.
Sure.
There's a bit of everything, and I think that the most important thing, even if you buy it via eBay, if the vendor is in Japan, see if you can get it tested, if you can have a sample of how it actually sounds, because I've seen some of the prices and they tend to be a bit overpriced for the second hand that it's supposed to be.
You also have to be careful with shipping as well, because I've bought guitars online before coast. So
And you get
they're
two
more-
guitars instead of one, right?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, but they're more modern instruments, so they're more like robust. Whereas like I feel like a shamisen is not solid. If it had some pressure, but it'd probably snap or the skin will split. Shirai-san, she's got a question for Sonia or Bobby. Do your friends ever say that Japanese classical music sounds too simple compared to Western classical music?
You first.
Okay, so we were actually discussing this yesterday in our my lesson with Esteban. But you know, Japanese music doesn't rely very much on harmony. It's very rhythmic, very kind of simple in terms of harmony. So for me coming into it, it was I don't want to say boring. It's definitely not boring. Very interesting. But I think definitely my friends who have never studied music would have a difficult time listening to Yai Goromo, for example. We played a small section, but it's actually 20 minutes long if you play the whole thing. So it's difficult to listen to if you're not sure how to listen to it.
Yeah.
In that case, I'll move to my friends. Most of my friends actually already play another instrument, piano or violin, and they find that the way we play koto specifically is so paced. Every piece has its own speed. It seems simple, but they ask how hard is it actually to get it right? Because violin is a very difficult instrument as well. If you get one note off your harmony, then something is going wrong. The piano seems to be a bit more forgiving, and the koto is certainly not a forgiving instrument. If you miss a tone, if you miss one of your harmony, don't forget that you're not playing alone. You're playing with a teammate, or you're playing in a group, and every member who plays have the role to play. So let's say one person is a bit too fast. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and one person is playing is a bit too fast.
Melding with the ensemble, right?
Then they're melting. They're making it harder for the Daini Koto to catch up, or for the shakuhachi to know where to follow.
Is it usually when you have an ensemble, first there'll be like one person, the leader, leading the rhythm, and everyone else should follow them?
It will depend on the part and of the piece. In some pieces, the first koto is going to be the one giving the speed. They're going to be giving, okay, this is the beat that you need to play. However, sometimes the lead is going to switch depending on the part. So the harmonic is going to be, for example, on the shamisen, who's going to be given okay, this is where we go. So each player needs to remember that they're not alone, they are in a group, and they have to pay attention to what everyone is playing, and this is the one where I struggle a lot, right?
It's hard to learn.
It's hard to
Years of
learn.
practice.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Laurent obviously studies gagaku, which I don't really know the sound of off the top of my head, so I want to check that out afterwards. But he seems to think that's quite complex, obviously.
Yes.
And I really agree with Esteban's comment here. He thinks the complexity lies in other elements.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
I would say that for me, the more simple the song is, the harder it is to play. So we played the quartet song. At the concert, right? And it's technically challenging, it's very fast, and there's time signature changes. But for me, that's kind of like my style. But when I play like Hachi Ojishi, it's really slow, and I make so many mistakes. It's really, really difficult.
Yeah, I always kind of describe it as being very I don't know, it's very taxing to play one of the traditional pieces, because you have to, like, especially all the things, you know, we discussed before, nothing is written in the music, so we have to take Nakagawa sensei's you know, teachings throughout the months that we've learned it, and just remember, okay, we slow down the tempo here, stretch it here. These you may have seen in Yai Goromo, the shamisen and koto were doing this together. This is not written.
Yes.
the speed at which you play it and slow down as it written, you kind of have to feel it. And there's just a lot of stuff to think about.
Oh,
yeah.
one of them is when we play this exact same part and there is more than one person playing it. So everyone needs to play at the exact same speed.
Yeah,
And
of course.
that is kind of complicated, even for the simplest part.
Especially when the tempo marking is 21 or something.
You always have one that jumps or kind of a bit late.
Yeah, I know this from guitar. Like, you have two guitar parts and you bend two notes at the same time in harmony. So maybe you play like the root and a third, and you bend up to the second and fourth note at the same time. The curve of the bend has to be identical, otherwise it sounds horrible.
Yeah, right.
And you can hear that with the koto as well, right?
Definitely.
Even if you bend to the right pitch, if you go a bit faster than the other person, they don't match, and you get that kind of dissonant sound, right?
Yeah. We actually had a question in the kind of pre-survey thing about the guitar, since we're talking about it. What is your experience switching from guitar to shamisen? Like, difficult transitions, easy transitions?
It's everything.
Everything was easy.
the tricky part was my expectation before I started playing.
Okay.
Because I thought, oh, this will be really easy, because I've been playing guitar for 20 years.
Right.
So I thought, oh, it's just like less, it's like half the strings, and it's like, no problem. But it's like, it's the style of the music. I play a lot of rock and like metal stuff, so it's really like technical, fast, heavy.
A little different, right?
You know, so Japanese traditional music is really slow, very detailed, and just the technique generally. The bachi is like 100 times bigger than a guitar plectrum. Using your nail, I found very tricky. So the way that you hold the string, that's like an absolute no-no for guitar. It's like you use the flat of your finger.
Right.
Beginners tend to do this, and then you kind of got that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just all my hand, like my muscle memory in my hand, is just automatic. But it's all wrong.
Right.
Yeah. That's why like
Completely.
Sensei shouts at me. But I'm not thinking. It's just my hand is doing it automatically.
Right.
So I really have to change the way that I think about that.
We didn't actually mention that, but when you play the left hand, you're actually using your fingernail to touch the string, and that gives you that really crisp sound. If you use the pad of your finger, you get kind of a muffled, gooey sound, I guess. I don't know.
Shanna wants to know, what are your favourite pieces? If you've got one favourite piece each. Sensei, you want to go first?
Of course, Yaegoro.
Yaegoro,
Yeah,
okay.
I like
She
this.
always talks about how
Yes.
it's classic.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about Yaegoro. The first time I learned it, I hated it. The second time I learned it, it was for the exam, and I kind of still hated it. And then I learned it sort of another, 2/3 of the way, and now I like it. But I still. She wouldn't let me perform.
Do you have a
it,
favorite?
sure. So yeah. So my favorite, I think, Kajimakura.
Oh.
I really liked Kajimakura. It was another piece I had to learn for my exam, and I really enjoyed it at the end. So I'm looking forward to hearing it next month at our recital. So everyone, please join. Come and hear us play.
Yeah, please come.
What
So
about you?
let me go. There is a song that I started learning last year, and I hated learning how to play it because I couldn't get it right. It was just this extra bit of difficult, and it's Minyo Kotoeta. But I played it so many times, and I heard it so many times that I started to really fall in love with that specific song because it's deeper than what we expected to be at the beginning. The techniques are not so many, they're not so complex, but the way that you have to play, the harmonics, the beats that you have to learn, and really the intent that you have to play with for the specific song is quite interesting. because it starts with a rhythm and it ends with another one. It has through a palette of harmonies, half beats and beats, and I'm like, oh, I'm really enjoying it now.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is a collection of different folk
Folk
songs,
songs, yes.
and yeah, I think the rhythms in Japanese music aren't what you would expect coming from a Western background, so they're hard to get
And
used to, right?
My other favorite one is actually Haru no Yumi. I really
Haru no
love that
Yumi.
song, and I love every time I hear it, I'm like, oh my goodness. Knowing that it can be played very differently depending on the school playing it and on the player's skills as well.
Cool, very good. Emily would like to say, I love this community. And she sends you a heart. But she also thinks we should make a Facebook Zenso global community.
Yeah.
Is there a Facebook group for Zenso?
I don't think
We
so.
have
Is there?
an Instagram account for the Leonkai.
For Leon Kai, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't have a Facebook, but
Maybe that's
yeah, Zensokyo should.
We should.
in the
should.
pipeline. Yeah, it's something we can work on. Oh, Sophie's got a nice question. She says she really loves your cover, a Radiohead, Bobby. What song was that?
Which songs
I said,
did I
she
do?
just- She just said that you did a cover
It
of
must have
Radiohead
been
on the Koto.
Creep or something.
Maybe Creep, yeah. But she said, do you enjoy playing covers in your Japanese instrument? And does it translate well? Like, how what's your process for like working, like transcribing or?
So the ones that I've done on Instagram are kind of, I always pick really simple songs with guitar, simple guitar parts, like harpy guitar parts, I guess. Travis picking type of thing, yeah. So they're really easy to transfer, assuming they don't have a lot of accidentals.
She said it was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Oh, no surprises. She says.
Oh, okay, no surprises. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Have you ever tried that, Sensei? Have you tried playing like a pop song on Koto or shamisen?
Of course.
Do you
but-
enjoy it?
just for fun.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for fun. Yeah.
Not traditional.
Not traditional. テクニックはプロモート。
But more loose, maybe. You can relax more.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
more. Not more fun, but more, relaxed. Less stressful.
そうね。
What are we looking at here? Esteban wants to know, how does the exam system work in traditional schools? Do you take the exam when the teacher says you are ready, or are there pre-established dates?
So Seiha has exams. The one in Tokyo is in December every year,
Yes.
and depends on where your head office is for your region. Those are set dates every year. But yeah, I think Sensei told me take it, and I said, "Are you sure?" And then we worked very hard to study for that exam.
But before that exam, because the exam that Bobby is speaking about is the teacher's exam, where he can get his official musical Japanese name. But before that, there is a set of certification that happens before we can actually graduate to take that final exam. Would you like to detail a bit more about the certifications?
So there are 4 certifications. There's like a normal level,
Middle class,
middle
higher,
level,
and
high
expert.
level, expert level. So you need these 4 certificates, and then you're eligible to take the exam. And for the exam, we had to learn 13 pieces. And they randomly picked 4 pieces on the day.
Yeah, on the day.
And then you had to play your chosen piece. So we played 5 pieces.
And writing test.
And then
Yes,
there are
yeah.
4 sections of
5
the writing.
subjects.
5 subjects. I don't even remember now.
It's very
Listening
hard.
tests, writing down what they're playing, recognizing the traditional pieces was so difficult. Yeah. But very fun and interesting. Everyone should do it.
Sensei, has the exam changed since you took it?
Yes.
Now to now, right?
Step by step changed so easily.
It's become more
Yeah.
easy.
More easy.
Really?
Change. Yes. More,
Oh,
more,
thank
more
goodness.
easy.
Of course, you're a grandmaster. Yeah. Laurent says there are no exams using Gagaku.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. How do you? I mean, do you get certified to
No
play? Do you have to?
certificate.
I don't know. Hopefully he'll tell us in a minute. I don't know. Maybe because it's more, if you play in temples and things, it's more
Mhm.
just learn from your sensei, and then it's not like a public performance, perhaps. I'm not sure. I don't know. No certification. It's a group sense.
Okay, so you
Uh,
melded into the group. Have you collaborated with Koto or shamisen or shakuhachi or any of these types of instruments?
he said there are public performances. Sorry, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, maybe he'll tell us in a second. I think that's all the questions, though. We're about.
Yeah, we're about.
そう、じゃあ、ラストタイム、前奏曲の理事長いますか？藤本理事長います？ご挨拶。理事長いますか？いません。藤本玲さんのパーティスパンツ。インクル
藤本。
いないかな？
そう、そう。
レイさん、います？理事長、ご挨拶してください。
頭ミュートしてなかった。
ミュートになってそうです。
ですか？あ、聞こえますか？
あとトランスレートしてあげて。はい、お願い。日本語で大丈夫です。お願いします。
はい。皆さん、今日はお疲れ様でした。それでまたたくさんの皆さん、ご参加ありがとうございました。とても良かったです。で、I am not speak English 。ごめんなさい。
トランスレートしますよ。大丈夫です。
はい。
日本語で前奏曲の宣伝をして。
はい。前奏曲は合奏をみんなで楽しむ。それで和楽器の素晴らしさを国内外に発信して、次世代につなげる。そういうふうな団体です。みんな和楽器のことを愛してます。以上です。
So, what she's saying is, for the Japanese music, the interest is for everyone that plays it, is to enjoy the music and to enjoy the score song together. And that it is a feeling that is deeper than just playing music, but actually connecting people and connecting feeling. And she loves playing the Japanese traditional music and hearing more about Japanese music. She thinks that today's event was pretty interesting to participate to. And her last word was to say that she really loved Japanese traditional music. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the end of our allotted time. But thank you everybody so much for coming. It was really fun. Next time,
yes,
let's do 4 hours talking about everything. So yeah, hopefully next time maybe we can talk about some gagaku or some, I don't know, we can get some gagaku experts to answer those questions, or take a look at some other instruments, other types of music. Maybe get some other performances lined up as well. Yeah.
So today was the introduction.
Yes,
so,
just introduction.
It might feel like we went a bit just the surface of some of the items. So feel free to let us know what else you would like to learn or hear about the Japanese traditional music. It doesn't have to be the koto or the shamisen. Feel free to ask about shakuhachi or biwa music. And what do you want to hear about as well? Let us know.
Yeah, maybe we can type in the chat now Nakagawa Sensei's website. Gade.org. Yeah. Gade.org, Garei.org. If anyone's interested in contacting her about lessons, about
I can teach
anything.
in English. Yes.
Anything. Yeah, she can teach in English. Online lessons are okay too. Or just any questions
and
in
nice
general.
International students. I have many nice
Yes.
international students.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of gaijin. So
Please
come play with
join.
us.
Yeah.
Everyone who plays instruments, come to Japan and play with us, or
play online.
Try koto. and shamisen. Yeah. So, thank you. We hope to see you guys soon. Maybe we'll try to organize something else soon.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Thank you.